So I'm Rachel Litherland from Innovations in Dementia. Work on a whole range of projects, but one of my privileges over the last couple of years is to be connected to this film project. We've worked with Bigger House Film, who'll introduce themselves in a while, for a long time, and have been working with them to capture some of the stories of Deep. So you'll hear a little bit about that. They've ended up in being over 25 films, which we'll put some links into the chat box for you to go and look at all the films. Martin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Martin. I live with Dementia, part of the Ashford Phoenix group, and I am also Dementia Envoy for the NHS, and I've worked on various projects, and one of them being with Bigger House Pictures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Dr. Michael Andrews, who has to get used to this name, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael. I don't think I'm going to get used to this. I was diagnosed with a rare form of dementia, PCA dementia, back in 2017. I've been involved, expert experience with Bradford University, and also I do work with other universities, and also done some films with Steve and Tom, which was enjoyable.
I think there's all kinds of stories that are going to come out in this next hour. Tom.
Hello. So I'm Tom Stubbs. I'm one half of Bigger House Films. So there's a few names I recognise. Hi, Mac, and Julie, and Nick somewhere around, isn't he? On the chat. So we work with people and collaborate with people to kind of make films and enable people to try and make sure that their voice comes out somehow through filmmaking. That's our speciality, and it's been a treat to work with Rachel and everybody that we've met on the way through Deep. So my colleague is Stephen. He's just here on.
He is actually. He's on mine as well. Stephen. Yeah. Oh, and you're on mute, Stephen.
I thought if I pressed the space bar it would work. Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Jolly good. I'm Stephen. I'm Tom's friend and colleague. We've been together for a long time making films. I can see lots of people. Say hello to Chris there. Lots of people we've worked with before, so hello to them. Really nice to see you again. Deep Moments. Deep Moment is a really good title for this project because that's what we found ourselves falling into when we worked with Martin and Michael and Chris and Julie and all these people. We've sort of landed in these lovely deep moments, and we've especially recently really tried to slow down a bit, and I hope that you like the film we did with Michael, because that's a kind of a new way of working, is to slow right down and just focus on the moment and not sort of rushing around. So yeah, Deep Moment is a good title.
Thanks, everybody. So yeah, I think we'll, to contextualize what this is about, we had some funding to capture the stories of Deep. Deep is happening in all times and places across the country in all kinds of different ways, and we wanted somehow to show that variety. So we went through a really creative process a few years ago, prior to lockdowns, prior to COVID and the pandemic, where Deep groups were invited to get involved in these filmmaking projects where they would collaborate with filmmakers to make the films that they wanted to make. And we kind of didn't really know what that might look like. So Stephen and Tom set some creative tasks, and a number of groups came forward who engaged with that, and almost kind of auditioned, I guess, through that process to be part of this Deep Moments project. So we are going to show you today some of the earlier films, and a couple of quite recent films that are just finishing off this project. And as Stephen has just said, there's a certain slowness as we move through the films today, which we hope you can experience with us, and the final film that we show is Michael's new film, which actually Michael hasn't seen until today, so that'll be interesting. But we're going to start with Martin's film. So the idea is that we'll show a film. We hope you'll enjoy watching the film, but we'll put the link in the box where you can go directly to the website to watch all of the films. But we'll show a film, have a short discussion between the filmmakers and the film director, the person to whom the film belongs, and then move on to subsequent films. So I'm going to do the thing that causes the most amount of stress in this whole session and try and show you a film. So this is Martin's film. I hope you can see. Indicate it will just take a little moment for you to hear the words.
How you doing? It's a funny place to record, isn't it?
Okay.
Are you going to say that, How I Look at Dementia, or is that just the title?
Can't remember.
Say it, read it, it's good.
How I Look at Dementia. I think society would learn more if TV wasn't so scripted or clinical. Because when it's scripted and you're told what to say and what to do, it's not real. So the perception is that when people who live with dementia are observed, that nothing is wrong, when actually it's what's going on inside, not on the outside. I am the same person, but I'm also not the same person. My name is Martin. I've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I live with it. It was hard, but now it's okay. What's it like for me? At times I look into the distance. I don't see anything. I can't pull my thoughts forward and process like I used to. It can be hard. All I want you to do is talk to me. I want you to pick my brains. My daughter said to me, "What's it like?" And it's quite hard for me to explain. I sit there, but I'm not thinking of anything. I mean, I spent 17 years in the army making split decisions. To go from that to this, think, what am I doing? I can't remember how to do that. If you talk to me, normally you'll find a trigger point. If you can hit that trigger point, I'll have a conversation with you. So I can climb my ladder into my attic, and I can look through my boxes of memories. I want you to help me sort stuff out. I have two different worlds going on. World 1, that's my good days, and I'm okay. World 2, that's my bad days. I'm at home. I'm stuck. But yeah, now I'm out in the fresh air, out in the sun, nice and peaceful. I'm feeling good. I am ex-military, and we project ourselves. We can get on with things, but we are now vulnerable. So we put a shield up. It's a protective mechanism, but the shield is breaking. I mean, why have I come out with only one glove on? I've not drawn since I was 8 years old, but I was at a conference I joined into an activity and I just drew something really quickly. Everyone said it was amazing. I picked up on that. So I draw things now. And when I'm drawing, I'm in another world. It's a third world. One that I'm using my mind. And I like it when I'm there.
Lovely film, Martin. Shall I go to Stephen and Tom? You take your time.
I found it I found it very emotional to watch. But I mean, it's not tears in my eye. It's not tears of sadness. It's tears of joys and joy. And I think part of it is the wind coming through and it's affecting my eyes. I felt very humble and very proud to be a part of something so unique and special for me to be able to express how I felt and hope to dismiss some of the stereotyping and the stigma that goes along with people who live with dementia. I didn't want to say too much, but what I will say is there's a couple of little things I wrote down, and that was about the whole filming process itself. And I'd really like to, you know, a very special thank you goes to Tom and Steve. Because what they was able to do was to actually extract exactly how I felt. I'm sorry, I can't.
No, thank you, Martin. I don't know if I can ask Tom and Stephen to respond now, but maybe you'd have to step in.
The humbling. I was going to say the humbling goes back, Martin, because but everybody that we work with on all the projects, each group, we work with 4 different groups in different parts of the country, but everybody had a kind of something they really wanted to kind of get out and communicate. And Martin wasn't the exception. He really wanted to communicate the kind of feelings and like you were saying, Martin, trying to chip away at media representation and stereotypes and other stuff like that. And it was when people are so up for the challenge of making a film, that it was really for us a very fruitful collaboration as well. Stephen, is there anything you'd like to add? I know you're
incredibly moved by that, Martin. I don't think we should be frightened to show our emotions. To have someone react to a process of working with us like that is quite extraordinary, actually. So thank you for that. Yeah.
So Martin, just on a kind of more, that's now, because I just checked the date, that's now 2 years old. It's been up and about on the net, and who have you shown it to, and what comments have people said? And only if you're comfortable talking.
Yeah, I'm all right now. Yeah, I mean, I've posted it on social media and posted it around to many people who I know. I'm trying really hard to promote awareness, and I just felt I've watched every 20 odd films, and every one of them has such a poignant message. to me, and the biggest thanks has to go to you two guys because of, and I will be quick now because I know I don't want to take up other people's stuff, but actually it was with right all the way from the process from the beginning when you sat down with us and we had the flip charts and the boards and the crayons or chalk, I can't remember exactly what it was, and we was all writing down notes and we came up with a plan. And all the way through the whole process, we were talking to you, you were listening to what we were saying. And the one biggest thing that I really wanted to put across is, and I can't remember if it was which one of you guys it was, we sat in the Eureka and I said to you, what I won't do is for you to give me a script and say what someone wants me to say. I will tell you how it is from my heart and how I feel and how I see things. And you took that on board and you allowed us all the way through the process to say how we wanted to say it. The only time you ever helped is, I recall, like, sat in the car and you can see me looking down at my paperwork. And that's because, if I remember, you wrote it down for me, typed it out, and you gave it to me the next morning. And so I was able to keep refreshing my memory. But like I say, all the way through the whole process, right up until the end, it was fluent all the way through. And we was allowed to be flexible. You allowed us to be flexible. There was no pushing or shoving. It was very jovial. Even to sit down on Sapphire Hill when it was cold, it was all sat on the table having lunch and laughing and joking. I'm definitely not going to be the next Tom Hanks, but what I'm able to do and what I feel confident is doing is actually standing there in front of anyone and telling them how it is and getting rid of that stereotype. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Martin. You've done that in spades, and I just want to say that you may know that your family are here watching and they're rooting for you in this chat box. There's a lot of, it's a powerful message. You've done exactly what you wanted to do, Dad. So thank you. There's a few more films to watch, Martin. Can you cope? We're going to watch Julie's film, Julie from Pathways, one of the original films. We've got a different Julie's film at the very end, but this is one of the original films, and Julie isn't here. But I think for me, this is a really special film, and we can ask Tom and Stephen a little bit about what it was like to make this film.
I've just got to give myself an itch there. There's always one, isn't there? Just one little bit there. That'll do.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first line is, I feel embarrassed because I'm getting old.
I feel embarrassed. I feel
embarrassed because I'm getting old.
Yes, I feel embarrassed because I'm getting old. I was once a nurse. It was lovely. Oh, me in Australia. If you can make somebody healthier by smiling or whatever, and families going in, you know, I can't work it. I don't know what I want to say, really. I used to do athletics. Then I grew up. And then I met Kit Swan.
And how was that?
Beautiful. Because I love him so much.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Who's that, Kit?
Me and you.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. Can't you tell by the shorts?
Kit, he'll do anything. He's got 6 sisters. We all got together and we all knew each other, and it was... Look at that red hair. Wonder where he got that from. Who's this? Kit.
It's Helen, our daughter Helen.
Ah.
What frustrates you most
my memory sometimes. It's running away from me. I go, and it goes black. They'll be shutting us out at the bloody place.
And how do you feel today?
Oh, fabulous. It's nice, sunshiny, and yeah, talking to people and everything, and chatting, and what did you do, and what do you think, and it's just chit-chat, chit-chat. So, yeah.
You ready now to do your dance?
No.
A bit further over that way then.
I love to dance. No, it's too deep, is that, isn't it? I like to dance. I love to dance.
That's beautiful.
It's almost like running around. Sometimes I'll pick someone, I'll just make them dance. Because if they didn't want to do it, they wouldn't do it, would they? Were it you?
Me?
Were you?
Yeah.
Can you dance like that?
I don't know, can I?
Is Kit a good dancer?
Well, it depends on what you think. That's my foot. I get angry with Kit, poor lad, for no reason. No reason at all. He does all the things that I used to do. The cooking, the baking, the kids are all grown up now anyway, so we don't have a right lot to do. He keeps me going. He does everything. Where's Kit?
And then you said something like, then I feel bad for shouting at Kit.
Yeah.
Can you say that?
Then I'll get bad. Looks after you, doesn't it? It does. Thanks.
Oh,
It's all right.
this is a good line.
Go on.
It's better to be laughing than crying. Can you say that?
Yeah. It's better to be laughing than crying. It's better to be laughing than crying. It's better to be laughing than crying.
I believe you, I believe you.
I can't say a blessed thing now. Hot water's pouring down here. Oh,
Really,
dear.
really good. It was brilliant, wasn't it? How do you feel now?
All right. Yeah.
Just got sad, didn't you?
Yeah. Thank you.
Feel I should have put a little health warning on today's session. But as you say, it's better out than in. So Stephen and Tom, is there anything you'd like to say about the making of that film with Julie?
Well, Martin and others that took part will recognise lots of similar elements. We always recorded, we kind of worked and chatted. Martin mentioned it a bit about flip charts and notes and writing down and hearing stories without really at that point getting much of a camera out. And from those notes, bits of ideas of a script would come about, and depending on the person, if they felt comfortable talking out a script, they would talk out a script. Or with Julie, Stephen was recording the voiceover and was prompting her with lines that she'd said and we just copied down. But I guess what we always try and do is be spontaneous and improvise. But when Martin's film, we decided that we needed to get out of the building that we're in, and that we went to that place on the coastline, and it was just, it seemed the perfect place. The weather was lovely. And when we were up in Bradford, we had access to the city hall there and the total run of the place. There was hardly anyone else there. We were able to suddenly go into these big rooms, and it seemed, and we just used it. And that both Kit and Julie came, I think they were relatively new to the group. and then we'd always thought, well, we should just make the film with the person who's got dementia and is part of the group, but then we just tore up the rule with that, and Julie seemed to always want to refer to Kit, and he kind of came into the film and supported the film, and that they wanted to do this dance, and we were like, yeah. And then where do we go dance? We found a lovely kind of, it's a bit like it became a bit like a fairy tale almost. There was a picture of the building outside, and then there was a model of the building, and then they were dancing past them. You know, from a filmmaker's point of view, Julie's one, lots of things just suddenly happened that were just like, yes, brilliant. This is really great. And they also, Kit had bought, I think he'd got a series of photos that he'd been doing some kind of work with Julie, just keeping her memory of all her family. So that's where the photo montage sort of came from. Anything else, Stephen? About that? It was very spontaneous to work with everybody. So hopefully you got a bit of that, a sense of that with Julie, and a sense of that with Martin's film too. Stephen, anything to add?
I just love, it's the same with Martin's as well. I just love the lovely connections that we make and the relationships that we make when we're working with people, when we're making films, is what's striking me at the moment. I'm not really thinking about how we do it. I have noticed though that I've really liked the playful nature of a lot of the work we've done with you all. I like it when people want to play and take a risk. You know, even if it's just doing something you haven't done before. I remember with Martin's group, actually, I know there was quite a lot of reticence at the beginning because people hadn't done it before. So I love the fact that people take a risk with us, and I love the fact that Julie was up for playing, and I do like the playful nature of the work, and I think that really comes through. Yeah, thank you.
I'm just wondering, from Martin's perspective and Michael's perspective, actually, it can be, to take a risk, you perhaps need to feel safe. So I would think you perhaps touched on this, Martin, but you know, the kind of, you know, making films that you're quite, it's exposing, isn't it? And that's kind of what I'm just thinking. And yeah, you're saying, like, you know, you're kind of really pleased that people did want to play with the ideas and take a risk, but I suspect you created I know you created very safe spaces in which that could happen.
I think both Stephen and Tom, I'm assuming that they read the deep literature on, I can't remember what it's called, about the film, and if you're doing a film, these are things you should take into consideration. And when you read through it, it's like Stephen and Tom had read it, chewed it, and remembered it, because everything we went through, there was so much empathy there, and listening, and going back to what Stephen said about being jovial, we was, and there was scenarios where Mick, who was part of the group, was quite funny, and Brian, but Stephen and Tom had that ability to, because they were listening, able to draw that part out of us, and that's what came across. So everyone in the group, including Chris, who was part of it, Tom and Steve had that ability just to draw it out from us, and that's what made it so good as well.
Oh. Martin, you'd said about Stephen and Tom having read all the deep guides, and that's great. You know, we've got loads of ideas there about how to communicate well with people with dementia and to create films. But actually, we worked with Bigger House a long time ago, before Deep came into fruition, and Tom made 4 not dissimilar films with individuals with dementia in 2008 or 9 maybe, and a group that became a Deep group, the Forget Me Nots in Swindon. And I guess we were encouraged from our funders to find a professional filmmaker to make these films. We thought we could have a go ourselves. Don't know why we thought that. And we were encouraged to find professional filmmakers, and Bigger House were recommended to us as having that particular approach and ethos that would fit really nicely with kind of where we were and what we needed. So I think we've just had one of those ongoing partnerships that yeah, we trust. I guess we trust that if we send out this film company to work with Deep groups, that they share the same values that we do. So I'm a bit worried now about premiering Michael's film, given that we're in quite an emotional place all together. But I think it's a lovely film and it's slow. So we've got 10 minutes now to just sit and enjoy this film at the seaside.
He's going to drag this.
Okay. Second camera. Main camera. What am I doing? I might want to wait for this canoeist.
There's going to be a lot of noise now because he's going to drag this.
Let's just enjoy it then. You ever fancied that, Michael?
I have done it.
Once, I beg your pardon.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
The younger days with the army.
Do you miss the army?
I do, yeah. Yep.
Tell me why you miss the army.
Because you're fit and you can do everything. Now you can't. You can barely walk.
We had you running down the beach to get to the sea though, didn't we?
Well, I wouldn't say running.
Are we alright, Tom? Yeah. Look at that lovely boat. It's going to come through the shot, let's watch. Just watch that, Michael. That's pure gold, that is. He's coming back out and landing it. Perfect. Michael, how's your life right now?
At the minute I'm content, I'm happy. Yeah, could be happier, but I'm happy.
What are you happy about?
At the minute being on this holiday. Fun and joy. A break from the usual rigmaroles of Bradford.
What do you miss about Bradford?
What do I miss about Bradford? It's not really a lot you can miss about Bradford.
So I'm just leaving lots of spaces because it's just really nice to see you thinking and looking at my question, thinking about my questions. I just wanted to get more into inside the real Michael. What's inside the real Michael?
I'll be honest, I'd be a lot happier if there was no dementia. Get your true self back.
How does dementia stop you from being your true self?
There's too many barriers that hold you back. The biggest thing I have is, now they always say to me, it doesn't really, you shouldn't worry about it, was reading, writing and arithmetic. When you've done that all your life and then all of a sudden you can't do it, and they keep saying to you, no, don't worry about it, because there is people that can't read and write, but when you've done it all your life and then all of a sudden you can't.
Pardon me. And cue irritating dogs. Sorry about this, Michael. I did say to them earlier, but you know, I slightly lost my thread then. That was about the frustration, wasn't it, of dementia? So you're aware, because you must be aware of those things that you can't do, which might make it even more frustrating.
It does, but they keep saying to you, you know, life goes on, you can still do things, but there's a lot of things you can't do. And the things you can't do is the things you always miss. I mean, I used to love reading Stephen King books. I used to love reading true life stories. And then all of a sudden you can't read them. If I do pick a book up, I can read a paragraph, and then the words they seem to jump off the page. And then you've got to put it down and then leave it for so long, come back, and just hope that your memory, you can still remember what it was you've read. Otherwise you've got to start from scratch again. It sounds daft, but if you give me a big book where somebody could maybe read the whole book in a couple of weeks, or maybe a couple of months, it would take me years to read it.
Is the mic okay, Tom? There's something so good about sitting here actually, because this is a good place to sit and talk, isn't it? Because we were on the pier, it wasn't so good, was it?
No.
What's good about where we are? I mean, I chose this spot, but you saw it as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because you're a photographer, you can tell what it looks like. What's good about this spot that we were in now?
It's just nice and relaxing, and the sound of the sea. There's something about the sea, it just relaxes you. I've done the same. The room I'm in, because it's right at the front, I sleep with the window open, and through the night, that's all I can hear is the waves, and it just puts you to sleep. In fact, last year I recorded it, so I can listen to it at home.
You don't play videos of us when you're trying to get to sleep or at home?
No.
We could film me and Tom just sort of looking into the lens with some waves in the background to help you. Sorry about that. Even I'm fine, because I find it really difficult to relax, so I'm just finding sitting here next to the sea in this spot. We've got the people watching us, Elaine with a microphone, but it's still kind of enclosed, isn't it? It feels really, really nice and safe, yeah. Lovely. Tell me about music in your life.
I actually love music, but that's another problem with dementia. It affects the music. I've always been able to, well, I was able to read music, and now I can't. It's the same as reading a book, that you've got the staff with the notes on it, and the notes just keep jumping all over the place, so you just can't read it.
But you do still play, because we forced you to play in one of the videos.
Well, it's all by ear now to it. But then you get, we used doing it, you're put on the spot, and then your mind goes blank, and I can't remember what the tune was, or...
It's like thinking about the sea and what it feels like to be by the sea and chat. How does it feel when you're playing music and you're not worrying so much about the notes?
It's just total relax. I actually find, if I'm sitting at home and I'm having a really bad day, pick an instrument up and start playing it, you forget about everything else. So your dementia sort of goes then, because you forgot about dementia. And then just sit and play away. And then after, you just feel chilled out, you just feel relaxed.
Let's just relax here for a little bit and then stop. It's very peaceful, isn't it? You right, Elaine? You right, Julie? You right, Lawrence? Lovely. It's good here, isn't it?
Yep. The only trouble I have with music now is I can't remember the name of tunes. It'll be in my head what I'm playing, you know. Oh yeah, I like this, I'll play this. But I can't remember what it's called. You know, so if somebody was to say to me, oh, do you know such and a tune? I'm thinking, yeah, I know it, but I can't remember how it goes there. Because you lose track of the names.
It must be so hard when people say, yeah, but don't worry about it, it doesn't matter, because...
They all say that. But it's not them what's got it.
How do people help then?
Just leave them to my own devices. Sometimes people's trying to help and they're more a hindrance than anything. They think they're doing good, but they're not. They're making the situation worse.
Strike a chord, anyone? People try and help and they make it worse. Yeah, Julie? As everyone's nodding, like, Elaine. People try and help and they make it worse. Okay, let's stop. That was really great. Cut, everybody. It's going to be a loud noise, Elaine. Thank you.
Now the heading looks good.
Fantastic. So Michael, Stephen, Tom, the premiere of that film, different pace. Michael.
I'll be honest, if I go back to what Martin said about Stephen and Tom have a way of drawing out something from you. I mean, they sort of drew out what was going through my head. Just by the way they say something, and it triggers something inside you, and then you try to answer it. So I actually hats off to Stephen and Tom on the way they work. They've just got this way of drawing things out of you.
It's all very implicit though, isn't it? I don't know that you said a lot actually, Stephen, in that film.
Yeah, I think it was all about the space that we found, and I would like to say that moving from Martin's film and Julie's film, and the fact that we learn a lot making this work, and this is what I really, because Tom and I had an experiment on the last project, just going to Llandudno with Pathways. We didn't really have a plan, so we just sort of let ourselves be open to see what would happen, and it changed the way we worked. And the film with Michael is like a conversation. It's a different way of making a film. And I think Louisa said how different they all are in the chat. It's a very different way of filmmaking. And it's something that's new for us and new for me, is to allow that space. And I really like the audience seeing us together making the film. So you've got Lawrence and his wife, and then Julie's doing the other camera. You get a sense of this group of people making the film, not just the person in front of it. So in Michael's film, you get a lovely sense of him and us taking the space to make it, and you also see everyone else making it. And that's changed the way Tom and I make films. Working with you lot has changed, and I've certainly personally been encouraged to slow down.
Is there anything you want to add?
It's the hardest thing about filmmaking is getting to the space to work. But kind of when you're with Martin's film, we went to the seaside. Michael's and with this film going to Llandudno, we needed to and wanted to work again because we made such a nice connection with everybody, and we just thought, let's see what the people at Radford are up to, and they were going to Llandudno, so we just said, can we come along too? Being in the space. And I guess we're so used to sometimes overthinking filmmaking, and that's what's just so for this particular experiment with Martin, we did do some other little bits of filmmaking, but this was just a little of all the thing. And we've obviously, there were a few people like Lawrence who was there that we made a film with, and Julie, and that was our first time, but because Michael was our sort of person that we'd worked with, you know, we'd met him a couple of years before, and obviously been chatting to him on Zoom since the pandemic and stuff. It was nice to just do this other thing, and then suddenly realize later when you get back and you look at the footage that an experiment, it's just worth just showing it as this is a conversation. Yeah. A 10-minute, literally, that's the same. You know, there's editing in that we jump to different perspectives, but there's no editing in terms of...
Nothing's cut out. It's really important when people watch that film to know nothing has been taken out. Usually we chop. Nothing's been deleted. We just let the whole thing go. So thank you for going with it. Thank you, Michael, very much for letting us do that.
Yeah, and it's, as Stephen said, it's like, for us, we're thinking, next time, how can we find space? It was the sound of the sea. It was your back was against the wall. How can sometimes when we were doing it in the recording with Martin, how can we be next to Martin rather than across interviewing him like that? Stephen was sat in a car because we only had sometimes it's like necessity. A car is actually a really good space to do a voiceover because it's got padded ceiling and it's soft, and as long as they're not like there, as long as it's not too noisy, it sounds really good. But also you're next to somebody, and I think that's why people when they drive, you often have more interesting conversations because you're not looking at each other's faces, you're engaged in something else. So it's inspired us to sort of think about, if we're ever in situations again, how can we nudge the situation to be more open and more kind of conversational, like Stephen was saying, and kind of give space so people could just talk.
Yeah, that's sitting alongside people is perhaps not what we think of as film, as a different approach to filmmaking. I guess that's what all of these films were about, that kind of collaboration with all these people with dementia and all these groups who were involved in that project, and you can see that in some films. It's more explicit in some of the films, isn't it? So I think we saw that very much just then in Michael's film, that you had members of the group holding cameras, holding microphones. And I think in Pathway's original film, so each of the original groups had individual films for people who wanted to get involved, like Martin and Michael, and then a little group film as well. And I think in the Pathways film, their group film, you see that editing process, you see that collaboration in terms of actually making the film together. And that is very different often than the way a filmmaker approaches a situation. Having watched Michael's film last week, I was absolutely lulled into that seaside place. I really felt like I was sitting with you in that end of the pier kind of space and listening to the waves, and it was incredibly relaxing. We've got a few comments in the chat box. The slow pace was very appreciated. Somebody said that they really like all the difference in these films and what an insight it gives to dementia. And I think that's, if you watch all the films collectively, there's such a lot of insight that comes from everybody's different experiences. I think it's a real skill when something that is so professionally done just looks like mates having a chat.
Well, it was the thing is, it was it felt, it was lovely to see Michael again and spend that time and around on that particular holiday. Around that, we were sharing meals, we were all in the same hotel, so we were on holiday with the Bradford Pathfinders in Llandudno with some equipment.
So we've got about 5 minutes left. I think you've touched on this already, but has it changed the way you make films, Tom and Stephen, this particular work?
Definitely. This whole idea of the second camera that sees everything that's happening, the whole idea of showing the process of making the film while we're making it, that's new, and that's come from the Deep Moments project, and I really like that. We've done more of that in this recent batch of films. We've shown a lot more of the making of and other people what's actually going on, because that's the reality of it. They're not on their own, these people. We're making these together, and I want the audience to know that. So that's changed. And also, as I said before, this just making space, slowing down, letting the things that go wrong stay in the film, the dog going past, or one of us forgetting what to say, or slightly losing track at one moment and then just stopping. I really love the audience seeing that. And usually in filmmaking, you hide that. It's all cut away.
Martin and Michael, again, you've both touched on this, but what why is it important for other people to watch these films?
I think, go on, Michael.
I was just going to say the films actually show that we're still a person. Yes, we'll have good days, we'll have bad days, but it actually shows we can still do things. You know, we've still got feelings, we've still got emotions. These films actually show this.
Thank you, Michael. Martin.
I'd like to echo what Michael said. Actually, it's, you know, people have to understand that we're still us, and there are changes, and changes will come on in the future, and it's just making sure that, you know, you need to keep up with what's going on to understand, and keep talking, and because we still need help. You'll certainly be told if we don't need help, because we tell you we don't need any help. But sometimes we don't ask for help because we forget, you know, and I think you have to be aware as well with people with dementias, they do need help. Sometimes they're not afraid to ask for help, but they don't realise they need the help. So it's having that understanding as well. And I think my last point is Michael, I thought your film was great. The only thing that let you down actually was talking about Stephen King. I have to draw the line on Stephen King. Otherwise, no.
That's all about taste, though, isn't it?
But I think that's what's the wonderful thing about the films in their totality, is that they are the films that people wanted to make about the things that were important to them. They're so different, they're so full of humour and insight and individual life experiences and hopes and wishes, and that's the beauty of them. And I guess that's what we tried to capture, or one of the purposes of the project was to show that vast array, that Michael's film is going to be different than Martin's film, it's going to be different than Julie's film, and that's the nature of dementia. So I want to bring this session to an end. Thank you so much to our audience. I hope everybody's okay. We've had a chance to support each other, and I know you're all sitting away from each other, so I hope everybody's okay. I will pop my email into this chat box here in case anybody wants to drop me a message. But thank you so much for being with us today. So I want to end by showing an extract from the other Julie's film. Now, I know Julie's in our audience, and I had her permission to show this. It's an extract from a film similar to Michael's film that she made at the same time. And I just think it's a perfect moment to leave you with.
Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. North Wales is the best place to be. Having great laughs with the Pathways gang, and Dory on the drum going bang, bang, bang. Michael on his flute begins to tootle. Sue brandishes a furry mic. Jackie takes a roll along the prom, 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 while Lawrence tries to control his hair from being blown. And Bigger House captures every moment. Steve and Tom really earn their dosh. And when day's end we will see, will be filled with lots of glee, beside the seaside, beside the sea.
I think we can see Julie on our screen now. So thank you so much, Julie, for allowing us to show that. And thank you everybody for being here with us today. It's been a really special session. So we will say goodbye. Speakers, if you'd like to stay on, just as we say goodbye to everybody else, that would be great. Thank you.
I hope you liked it, Julie. See you again.
Thank you, and thank you for all the patience with me getting used to my new chair and being a bit nervous and everything, and being a bit hard for me to take direction. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, thanks, Julie. A new career awaits you.
Yeah. See you folks. Bye.
Are you going? I just wanted to say before you go that actually, no, Julie was instrumental in getting us to slow down, because I realized we were like bossing everyone around, getting people to do things fast to try and get things done. And I noted that Julie needed everything to be more directed and clearer. And actually, we took a pause after that moment, and then we did slow down with everybody. So you contributed to this idea of taking time to do things.
Thank you,
Julie. That's amazing. You've developed a new genre of filmmaking.
just great to have you there.
Yeah, and the rest of your film's lovely, and you will see that soon when those are launched, obviously, because that's just the ending of your film. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Julie. Thank
See
you.
you folks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And congratulations again, Michael.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Martin, thank you. My goodness gracious me.
No, thank you guys.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, are you okay, Martin?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, honestly, it was. I think it was seeing the film again. It was just very emotional. No, thank you to Deep as well. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, as you know, I've been on every one so far, apart from one because
I know, you've been such a trooper.
I didn't get my invite and I was annoyed about it. But anyway, all the stories, they're just so amazing. You know, they're such strong people. No, it's just great.
Thank you so much, everybody. That was a really powerful session.
Yeah. Thank you, Rachel, very much indeed.
Yeah, it's so, all of them, it's lovely to leave, because it's been about a year or so since I saw your film, Michael, as well. So they don't age at all. They're still absolutely relevant, and all the thoughts that you kind of got out into the film, you know, all of that's so lovely to hear. So yeah.
I just want to say that at the in-person events that we had down with the Sunshiners and in Bradford, and we showed a couple of the films at those events, and the Sunshiners in particular, the film included somebody who had died, and it was incredibly powerful for them, and there was not a dry eye in the house. Was there? Martin was there at that time too. But reflecting on a film that was made 2 years ago, and to look at that, and to you know, really sort of appreciate that whole legacy that you're creating, incredibly powerful. And of course, in Bradford, we had Claire's dad, who had died recently as well, and again, that was incredibly powerful to hear him singing. So it's capturing so much that is going to mean so much to so many people, and it was an incredibly powerful session. And thank you very much, Martin, and Dr. Michael in particular. You were amazing.